with over 600 speaking engagements. And she teaches her clients how to get booked, stay booked, and monetize their talks with ease and confidence. In today's session, Leisa will be sharing expert strategies you need to know to build your business through speaking. Can we please welcome Leisa Reid from the OC? Bring it up, bring it up.
Thank you, Sloan. Oh my gosh, I love Santa Barbara. I gotta move here. I'm gonna scrape up that 96 million and get that house bought. We're looking at the real estate. We're like, oh wow. Anyway, I'm very excited to be here, and I know we have some speakers already in the house. Yes. Okay, good. And you might know someone who wants to be a speaker. Also, I want to say, just as a disclaimer, speaking doesn't have to mean anymore that you're up here in front of live people with a microphone. It might mean that you're doing a video on your TikTok channel or YouTube or Zoom, or you're at a Zoom meeting. You are still a speaker. So wherever you are on that speaking journey, just plug yourself right on in there, because at this point we're kind of all speakers. We already did 2 rounds of speaking today. We did that 1 minute, right? Mm-hmm. That's also speaking, okay? But what I have found is that people tend to have those burning questions, like what Sloan was talking about, where it's like, well, how would I ever even get booked for a speaker? Like, how would I make money? Where would I find gigs? Like, these are the questions. They don't necessarily say them out loud or put them on Facebook, but I know that they have those questions because they secretly confess them to me. I'm like, it's okay. We're gonna figure that out, because today what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about like that key to unlocking your bookability so that you can start to get booked on a regular basis. And we're also gonna talk about how to uncover that treasure in your own backyard, meaning like, is it just sitting right there and you don't even know it? Because treasure is usually buried, right? There's a map, you gotta find it, and it's buried for a reason, it's valuable. So I wanna show you how you can actually access that valuable treasure, whether it's physically in a backyard or virtual backyard. Because we all have virtual backyards, right? Yes, yes we do. We're kind of lucky like that. And then I'll also share with you the #1 secret to speaking referrals that I use. I haven't cold called for speaking in 9 years, and I've been speaking for 11 years. So the first 2 years, you bet your bottom dollar, I was looking under the nooks and crannies and the rocks and the things and the sweating, the blood, sweat, and tears. Has anyone ever done the blood, sweat, and tears method? Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. So I don't recommend it. And my goal is that you get to go out and speak and serve to as many people as possible that can actually help, you can help, so that you're actually living your purpose. A little bit about me, I'm not only known as Leisa, but I'm also known as Ariana's mom, and that's Ariana. She's getting ready to graduate college. We were at the Barbie Dream House. Love Barbie. I've always been a Barbie fan. And she wasn't that much, but convincing her. There's my husband. Some of you met him earlier today. He dropped me off. And this is our director of operations, Piper Reid. She has seen all my talks, and she's usually sleeping through them, which I don't know if I should take offense to that, but she's my moral support. You get that? She's my emotional support. And I did want to mention too, I love best friends. I have lots of best friends. My childhood best friend and I host a podcast called How I Met My BFF. So if that resonates for you and you'd like to be a guest with one of your best friends, feel free to chat with me after. You can be on our show. It's really fun. Yeah, you get to tell your BFF story. I will say that I mentioned earlier the International Speaker Network. Did anyone have a really direct linear route when you started your business? No, right? Like it was like, so I was hired to be a speaker for a company, a personal development company. I used to speak on mindset all the time. And they said, here's the talk. I was already in love with the work that they did because I had a lot of significant results from it. I grew up with my dad as a hypnotherapist. So I was fully aware from childhood how to hypnotize myself and also how powerful the subconscious mind was. But then, knowledge is the booby prize, right? Like you can know that, but not actually like know that. So I started to take workshops with them, loved it. Then they said, why don't you come and fill our workshops for us? And you do that by speaking. I was like, because, how was that sound? Because I actually have a bachelor's and master's degree in speech communication. So it wasn't like I was shy and didn't want to ever speak. I just didn't know that you could be one. And so I started doing that. That first year I booked 83 speaking engagements in my local area. Wow. This was in 2013. I did it. Have you ever been that person where you're like, you just did it because you didn't know it was hard? It was just easy for you?
Yeah.
So I started this network within 6 months of starting that. So the network's been around since 2013. And what I wasn't anticipating was people asking me, how did I get so many gigs all the time? Like, can you tell me, I want to pick your brain. Have you ever had that? I want to pick your brain. How did you do da-da-da-da? How did you get so many speaking? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing that's different? I'm like, well, I can't really tell you in one sentence, kind of a lot of things, but some cool stuff. And I hadn't really organized it all. I was just doing what I did. I was being Leisa, which is the best, whoever you are to be, right? Like, you're really good at that thing. So I started doing that, and then eventually, finally, got hit with the inspiration stick one too many times and started Get Speaking Gigs Now, because that's what people were asking me. Nobody asked me, how do I be a better speaker? Nobody asked me that. They only asked me, how do I get on the stage? How do I get on? I'm like, that's fascinating. But hey, I'm not gonna fight it. So then I started my Speakers Training Academy, and now you kind of know a lot of the story. Yes. So let's talk about how do you actually unlock that bookability. Well, I will tell you the truth bomb that's coming right now. How you unlock your bookability, the easiest way is to actually get ready to say yes. When people work with me, I want you to actually be ready to say, yes, I can speak in a boat with a goat, in a box with a fox, in a house with a mouse, like, you want me there tomorrow, no problem, I can do it. Without hesitation, without hiding, without going, oh gosh, don't look at my website yet. Oh, my business cards are getting, oh, my photos aren't done yet, right? Like, or, oh, I don't know what I'm speaking on. That's the confessions that'll come to me. I've been working on my talk, I'm still working on it. I'm not ready to talk to you yet because I'm still working on my talk. I'm like, girl, no, because we're gonna get it done faster than you can blink those eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's what's holding us back is that kryptonite, right? I call it speaker's kryptonite. It's like keeping you safe, because it's scary with this, right? It's scary to be vulnerable. No one can do your push-ups for you when you're on this stage. It's you, you, and you. So what we do is we start with the actual talk, like, okay, let's get the talk ready to rock then, because that's what gives you the most confidence to say, hey, this is my baby, I just birthed it, it's amazing, you're gonna love my baby too. That's where we're trying to get to. It's not follow this exact formula and make them feel this at this time, and then bring them down, and then bring them up, and then trick them into buying stuff. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking, you've seen this, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what is that inner brilliance that you know with your experience and your wisdom that is actually gonna help people kind of understand your deal and go, I like that appetizer, I would like a little bit more, please, right? Without the trickery and the manipulation, but just honest, true, that feels really good to me. That would solve a problem that I have. That's who I want anyone who works with me to be on that stage, right? Okay, now, so that's just the first part. We gotta figure out where your talk is gonna be. I do this in a method where when I work with people one-on-one, it's a 2-hour experience. We figure out your talk, title, description, learning points, call to action. That's coming up in a second, but we also need to figure out who are your people and where are they hanging out. The good news is there's tons of places. The bad news is there's tons of places. So you gotta figure out, like, where are your places? Where are your people? What are you good with? Who was I talking to Joy about this earlier, right? Is that Leisa? Is it Ashley? Okay, it's like I had so many great conversations. I think it was Ashley. We were talking about figuring out our yeses and nos and things like that. So that's important because you're gonna get offers. Oh no, it was Sloan and I were talking. I was talking to so many people today. Sloan and I are talking about, like, figuring out your yeses and your nos. Like, what speaking engagements are a fit for you. Some people like to travel. Some people don't want to travel. Some people want to travel but they can't travel. Some people are more suited to speak at annual conferences. Maybe it's an associate. So we've got to figure out, like, what's your speaker avatar. And when you're clear on that, all of a sudden the roads are clear, the blinders are off, you see the treasure. As a business owner, you're probably aware you need to have that CTA. What's the CTA stand for?
There
you go. I love you, women. Yes. So this is sometimes the hardest part when we're selling our own stuff. We're selling ourselves as women, especially because we're meant to, like, serve everyone else first, right? And so we have to kind of, like, unlearn all the, and I don't mean not to be kind. Obviously you want to be kind, but too much water, you're gonna drown, right? So you got to figure out, like, how can I actually serve my business, serve the audience at the same time, make decisions that make sense, that feel really good as a speaker. Because otherwise you're gonna get burnt out, you're like, this doesn't work anymore. Well, something's wrong. There's a hole in some boat. We gotta figure out what's the hole in the boat. And that's what I do. I should just change my business card to say, boat hole fixer. Because like, that's what we're constantly doing, is where's the hole in the boat? I had one client, she was, have you ever had this experience where you're like, I don't know if people want to hear about XYZ, that thing that I talk about. She was talking about grieving and death. And I won't go into the whole long story, but obviously she had had a tragedy in her life, and it inspired her to create a different company. She used to speak about software, which is not the same thing as death. Not even close. So she was a great speaker, but she had that doubt, like, would I be, like, if I cried, what if they cried, are we good with that? Is that okay? Once we figured out what her actual message was and how it made sense in business world, how it would make sense to a group of people, to an audience, she was able to calm down, feel confident with her message. She got a $10,000 speaking engagement event. Because now she's a seasoned speaker. I'm not saying like you're just gonna walk off and, but she's a seasoned speaker. She had the connections, but she didn't know how to open that door. It wasn't clear to her. And I don't know about you, but for me as an entrepreneur, if I'm not clear on something, it's like the train just stops in the station, all of a sudden I'm just stuck there. I'm like, what? Ooh, why are we not going anywhere? When we have a clarity on our direction, have you ever had that experience where you're like, speeding bullet, right? You are just so fast. As soon as we start getting stuck, the train stops and we can't afford to be there. We can't afford to be stuck in that station. So we gotta figure out all those things, okay? So I'm just thinking about it, what do you actually need to do to be ready to say yes? Is it, I need a speaker sheet. Oh wait, I don't know what a speaker sheet is. Is it, I don't have my talk really right. I had it was old, kind of old. Is that still, like, what are those things that are going on in your mind that are keeping you from taking that next step? Maybe it's a bigger stage that you're looking for. Everyone's speaker journey is totally different. I found that. I start with ground zero to like, they've been around the block a few times, wherever the holes are in the boat, boat fixer, what would I call myself? A hole fixer, there you go. I just come up with that. Okay, second thing, let's figure out where that treasure is buried. I find that a lot of times people come to me and they're like, I know I want to be a speaker, but I don't know how this whole thing works. And I can relate to that because back when I started that networking group, which still exists, I had that same thought. I'm like, I'm not shy. Like, who in here is like, give me the microphone. I got plenty of things we can talk about. Yeah. Sloan's like, me. It's not about that. For people that come to me, I don't, and people who are terrified of speaking, don't call me. That's okay. I mean, we might be friends, but they're not calling me for help. But people who really want to speak are, or it doesn't mean they don't have any intimidation about it. And so it's like, okay, how do we start to figure out where should you best serve? So I wanted to give you some ideas, because the truth is, like I had actually already dropped it earlier, there's a lot of speaking engagements, which is the good news, and there's a lot of speaking engagements, which is all the bad news, because we want to figure out where are you best serving. So a good way to start narrowing the field down is start looking in your local area. That might mean virtual, it might mean in person, I don't know. You know that more than I do about what your actual goal is. But there's places, you can start thinking like what's in a 50-mile radius. We're in Southern California. When I started speaking in Orange County, I've got Inland Empire, San Diego, LA, all drivable distance. Yeah, easy peasy. Here to the same time, LA is huge, right? The Valley, huge. Like Ventura, huge. We're in a pretty good spot here in terms of if you want to do something in person, okay? So think about that 50, it just gives us a way to start, like, let our minds settle and focus. Otherwise it's too much, it's just too much. Have you ever gone on Google, like, how many speaking engagements? Like, you're gonna just go down a rabbit hole that you don't ever gonna get out of. And it's just gonna take you off. So don't do that. Don't Google yourself to death on that one. You could look at chambers. Sometimes there's multiple city chambers, like there's 34 cities in Orange County, so it's like, if I was a new speaker, I'm like, well, let me hit them up. Let's see what's out there. If my talk was going to be relevant for that kind of group. There's different ones that are gonna have different rules. That's okay. You do not need to join every single group that you speak to. I would be in 600 different groups if that were the case. You can't do that. So don't get too sucked down that rabbit hole either. Business groups, service groups, there's all kinds of virtual groups out there now, right? Little local ones that maybe only have 1 or 2 chapters. That's fine, you may not know their names now. But as you start to go networking with other speakers, you start to go, oh, what's the name of that one? Oh, what's the name of, oh, okay, do you know that person? Do you know the person? It's just like this. You know, sometimes we like, oh, to speak in Paris or to speak in, I'm like, everyone's people. We're all people. It's just people who live in different places. There are still people. And you're gonna be awesome because you're from California. Yeah. eWomen, there are 14. I looked it up on the website. I don't know if this is accurate, but it said 14 in California. I've spoken at all the Southern California ones. So we're already in, I mean, we're right here. So talk about backyard. You're like, how do I get on that stage? What do I need to do? Well, let me tell you, you need to get your talk done. You need to not just have it done. It needs to be on the site, and it needs to be organized. It needs to be attractive. So there's some things, yes, there's some things you need to do. You can't just go, hi, I want to speak at eWomen. Okay. You know, I haven't actually done anything. You've got to actually have stuff ready. Okay, so national, let's talk national. A lot of associations and conferences are national, conventions. This is where you might start to tap in, like Autumn is from, what's your name, right? Autumn? Wait, yeah, yes, yeah, you. He's in the arborist field. Now, there's probably, because there's an association for everything, there's conventions and conferences for everything. I imagine there are probably arborist conventions, yes? Yes. And conferences, and see, he's aware, because he's in his expert field. So I've spoken at like balloon convention, like people who make balloons, like that's a thing, that's a business. You probably bought balloon arches for a wedding or something. There's literally an association for practically everything. Cats who knit mittens, it's fine. Find somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily your target group. That's where you have to consider, like, what would actually be the best thing for you? Where are your customers? Where are your potential clients? They may not be at your industry, but Ashley, for example, caught me off guard this morning. She said, oh, I speak at a photography convention. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why would she do that? I said, where are your clients? In my head, I'm like, huh, cool. But she's gonna get clients from that. Well, yes, she is, because she's smart. Because she actually teaches photographers how to do what she does. Genius, right? So that's a perfect place for her to be. Okay, so it's not all black and white. It doesn't mean yes, no, all the time. It's like, well, let's actually find out what's your thing, and figure out what's the best strategy for you. Make sense? Yes? Helpful so far? Mm-hmm. Cool? Okay, good.
Gabby?
You need something? No? Okay.
I have a
Yes,
question
go
that's
for
just
it.
beckoning. So when you were talking to the balloon people,
Yeah.
were you actually talking them about public speaking?
No, not at that time, although
So,
it's
like,
possible, but I mean, I could have. At the time, I didn't even have this business. That was so long ago. I was talking about mindset, right? Because
okay.
business owners, if you're in the mindset, you know, human design, all the things that like actually affect all kinds of people, that's what I would call an industry agnostic topic. I would speak to engineers, stay-at-home moms, network marketing, entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, whatever. I could do anything. Now I focus mostly on entrepreneurs because that's what I like to work on. Great question. I like both your businesses too.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so now we think international. Okay, here's some cool stuff that's happening right now. With virtual, anyone in here can be an international speaker without even have to get on a plane, okay? One of my clients just did a talk yesterday in Paris from Orange County. Cool, now she's spoken in Paris, okay? She, 3 months ago, was terrified of speaking, and she was like, Lisa, I said, how many talks, I'll make up a name, Susan. How many talks, Susan, do you think you're gonna be able to do in 2024? She says, 6. I said, no, that is incorrect. Try again, and I'm really good friends with her, so I give her a hard time. I'm like, no, we're not doing 6. 36, we're doing 36. Because I knew she had the capability to do that. I'll push her a little bit, but she was like, how am I gonna get 36? She's already got 6. She's already got 6 down, and it's only February, it's like February, not even March yet. I'm like, girl, see, I'm telling you, when you start getting confident about your message and where you can speak and how it can start to help people, all of a sudden, blinders come off, we start to see the treasure everywhere, tripping over necklaces and stuff like that, right? We're just tripping over that treasure. That's what I want you to be able to do, because then you're like, oh, I don't have to take everything that comes my way. I can take the things that are really gonna be helpful for me, that fill me up with joy. That's what we want. We want to be more miserable? No. We don't want soul sucking, we want soul filling stuff, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Get another.
yes. Also with the international, if you want to do a retreat or something like that, maybe it's in a different country. A lot of times people want to do that. That's another way. Like, oh, maybe you have my husband's from Ireland, so I don't actually want to speak in Ireland necessarily, but if I wanted to, we go to Ireland, so you could do that, right? Okay, couple of things these are just eWomen stories. I'm not going to go into each story, but other eWomen members, one of my clients, she was doing this event. It was sucking the life out of her soul every 5 minutes. And so she needed to figure out where the hole in the boat was. And we figured it out. And she was able to get $18,000 in instant sales, not strategy sessions, just like click button, thank you, that's what we want. And someone booked five gigs in a month. She had a goal of 12 gigs, yeah. Over $30,000 in sales without being able to sell. Hello, yes please, can I have more, right? That's the stuff we want. I'm not saying it's all about money, but hey, the more money you make, the more people you can help. Yes? Yes. Right? Okay. All right, let's share the #1 secret to speaking. I gotta say that one 5 times fast. Say it fast, Sloan.
#1 secret to a steady stream of speaking referrals.
Woo! Okay, here's the truth. The truth is that getting speaking referrals can be more funner and more better and more easier than you could ever imagine. I know those are not real words. I did that on purpose. And because it's fun to kind of be silly sometimes. Hanging out with speakers is one of the best ways to get the introduction to the person you actually want to talk to, which takes out that time of having to fill out applications that go nowhere, and spend a ton of time filling out applications that you don't know if they're going to go anywhere, or maybe finding out later after you filled out the application that it's not a fit for you anyway. How do I know these things happen? Because I hang out with speakers all the time. So what I say is this is how I do it, where I don't have any cold calling anymore, and I've gotten hundreds of speaking gigs this way, is finding your speaker soulmate. What does that mean? Yes, it's no secret that I have a BFF podcast, because I'm all about friendship. You don't have to know everybody, you just have to know the right people, and just be nice to them. That's it, you be nice to people. Oh my gosh, you can build a very successful business, just being nice to people. So then, what is that? What is a speaker soulmate, Lisa? Glad you asked. Thank you for asking. I'm cracking up bamboo. So that's audience in one here. No, okay. All right. So a speaker soulmate is someone who you obviously, there's a couple components that are involved. This is someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you. It's kind of like a little even Steven-y, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be exactly even, but if you're brand new, you're not going to be hanging around your speaker soulmate's not going to be someone who's been speaking for 10 years. Because you're kind of off, like it's off, right? It obviously needs to be someone you know, like, and trust. It doesn't mean that you need to know them really well yet. It just means like, hey, I like you, I think I like your vibe, let's talk about doing this together, and referring back and forth with each other, and let's see if this is gonna work, right? You got, just like anything, gotta build up that trust. Share a couple referrals with each other, see how it goes, then we might get a little deeper, okay? And then the peanut butter chocolate part of this recipe is speaking to someone, they have your same audience, but they're not your competition. So it makes it real easy to flow back and forth. So you're like a landscaper and an arborist. I don't think they're the same thing, right? No, exactly. See,
Right.
so one's a tree health, and then, yeah. So they might be good referral partners, but you gotta like figure it out, because if they have arborist services, then maybe they're not. So this is where we gotta like figure out like what's our person. Okay? So think about, just jot down, or mentally or physically, a couple of people who might be a speaker soulmate for you. Someone who you think, oh, they're kind of out, they just did some podcasts, maybe they are good referrals for me, you know? Maybe I can help them. You start to see what treasure you've got in your pocket there that you didn't even realize was worth anything. All right, so we talked about unlocking your bookability. Remember, you gotta get ready to say yes, gotta have a talk, all those things need to be in place. We talked about the treasure. Start to think about, where's the treasure? Am I ready to grab the treasure? Maybe you're not ready to grab the treasure. That's how we know we're at the first step. We got to get ready. Okay? And then we also talked about that referability. Where might your speaker soulmate be? I will tell you, all the leaders have a little form on their paper there, or they have on the table. There are a couple of gifts for you. And it's double-sided, so there's a couple things on there. One thing on there is, this for everybody, 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. It's free. Yes, yay, free. And you can just click the QR code or go to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com/tips. Either way, we'll get you there. And that will give you the tips. They'll go right to your email. You can read those at your leisure over the next couple of weeks. They will come to you. Another thing that you will get is on the other side. There we go. The one on the left, where it's got the 2 columns, the Speakers Training Academy. If this is speaking to you in the sense that you're like, I kind of need to like get on that fast track. I have been messing around and working on my talk or thinking about being a speaker for way too gosh darn long, and it's time. And you're feeling that pull, then that link is for you. It's a free call. I will get deeply familiar with what you've got going on, and we will determine if we are a fit to work with each other. And that's the Speaker
Training Academy or
the Training Academy on the left, yeah. And if you are trying to find your speaker soulmate, there's links on there for the International Speaker Network. There's a fee for that, so I didn't want to go too deep into that. Anyway, do you feel full? Do you feel like you got some good nuggets today? Yes? Are the wheels turning? Okay, good. All right.
Probably a really stupid
Yeah.
question.
Oh, and we'll see. Let's see.
No such
Let you
thing.
know that. There's all this, we're talking about getting speaking gigs. I'm assuming you want to get paid for all these,
Oh, I
right?
love this question.
Oh, yeah.
Who else had this question in their mind? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
You said when you
Great
mentioned your
question.
client that got 10,000, so I was wondering like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there are different, has anyone ever played cards? Yeah, okay. So speaking is like a game of cards. Lots of different games. Solitaire is different than strict poker, but you're still playing with a deck of cards, right? So, same with speaking. There are different games that one would play for different reasons, based on your experience, your desires, what kind of venues you're looking for, what kind of clients you're looking for, and so forth. What you're actually asking is, I think, if I can read between the lines, this is what most people want to know, is like, but can I make money speaking? Yeah?
Well, indirectly, obviously, because you're getting clients. So for me, I would be speaking with the intention of getting clients.
Yes.
But I was just wondering, when you are setting up these gigs, are you trying to get paid?
Doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to get paid one way or the other,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So that's what I want to erase from it's like, it doesn't matter.
Got it.
When people come to me and they say, I've been speaking for free and it's not working, I'm like, yeah, it's not. What's going on? Like, why is it not working? What holes are in the boat? Because something's not right.
Yeah.
So, because then that can make you feel ick and want to give up on your dream, and we don't want that. So we just have to figure out what the right fit is. And some of my clients fit into both, like they might go keynote, the $10,000 one was a keynote, that's a paid one up front, and then, but she still will go to do ones that are waiving the fee and getting clients. Joy?
What if you speak on lots of different topics? I'm in health, I'm also in gardening, I'm also in business,
Yeah.
I'm also in motivation, and I do speak quite a bit.
Yeah.
But should I not do that? Should we just focus on one?
I don't know. It depends. I think it depends how I phrase that. As you can see, I like metaphors. Does any other entrepreneurs have lots of wrong? I'm in the right room. Entrepreneurs, like we love doing a whole bunch of crap, right? And our spouses are like, what? Oh my God, you're doing so many things. Yes. So I get it. And so what we do is I call let's front burner it. Let's what's on the front burner? Where's the pain the most? If there's pain, what's the top priority, and then we'll make some decisions from there. But for someone who's more seasoned, might be like, I'm good flipping back and forth. That's fine. Yeah. Just depends what you want to be known for and what your goal is. If it's distracting, then we would streamline it. But if it's fine, it's fine. If you were newer, I would say no. We'd focus on one thing. And I think we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's one more
Okay,
question.
go for it.
Never mind. So, in terms of brand identity or getting your message out and having people know who you are, and then teaching people about what it is that you do so that they benefit from it.
Yeah.
Would you say that you reach a broader audience with podcasting, or being a podcasting guest, I should say,
Cool, good question.
or in person on a stage in front of people?
Which one do you think?
Well, I think podcast guesting,
Because,
well, just numbers, sheer numbers.
okay, if you're on the right podcast.
Well, I was gonna say, but in terms of like the audience, like you don't know who's listening. So you might be really missing the mark in terms of who's listening.
It's a different game. Again, we're talking about like,
Total.
we're talking about Go Fish and we're talking about, gin rummy or whatever. Different game, same deck of cards. So what I'll teach my clients to do is when we get their talk ready to rock, we start to figure out how can you repurpose all that content so that you can be on the podcast or be on the things. If you're getting approached by podcasters and being on guest, I mean, sure, someone's gonna promote you to their audience, do it.
Yeah.
But you also have so many hours in the day, same amount as Oprah. So we gotta figure out, what are you doing with those hours? Are you getting on a bunch of podcasts that maybe don't have the reach that you're looking for, but you like it? Or is it really effective? Do you have a strong call to action? Is it reaching the right audience? Are people listening? So it's still a little bit of an unknown. I've gotten clients from podcasting, but I get way more clients from speaking because there's that like, we're connected. They're like, she's real. She's not like just fooling us, right? Or a podcast, you're like, oh, that's like some famous person, whatever. Maybe I'll call them and I got distracted. And so it's not as instant of a pull, but I think it's a great tactic too. Yeah. Yes to all. All right, I'm gonna turn it back
Yes
over
to
to you because I know
all.
we're like probably.
Yeah, we're doing good. How was it? Did you guys like that?
Amazing.
Yeah.